Wow, what a great show to start. You heard the first thing everyone heard was the Windows sound.
That's good, you know.
Yeah.
This show brought to you by Windows computers.
Yeah, don't tell Bill Gates.
But don't tell him what?
That he sponsored us.
Oh, gotcha.
Because he doesn't know.
No, I don't. Does he even work for Windows anymore?
I don't think so, actually. I think he just. I think he's doing his own thing now. I think he's just being a billionaire.
Yeah, doing billionaire stuff.
Doing billionaire stuff. Speaking of people doing billionaire stuff, welcome, folks, to another episode of DrawBomb. It's a show where we fucking draw pictures for you, and then we say words out of our damn mouths.
And we're billionaires.
And we're billionaires. Yeah. That's totally real.
It's interesting. You see these rooms behind us? They're just sets. We're in a studio backlot behind our mansions.
Yeah, we had the team from the rehearsal put together these painstakingly crafted rooms to act like ours. Painstakingly.
There's a lot of pain involved.
A lot of stakes.
When you're a billionaire, you're allowed to abuse your help.
Yeah, that's right.
And
yeah.
literally like slap them around and they can't do anything.
You ask for more out of them than should be required out of a human, and you're fine because you can pay people.
Capitalism, Jesus.
Yeah, that's right. You're a job creator. Everyone's like, oh boy, look at these job creators.
That's what we need more of. It's not enough jobs.
Not enough jobs out there. The pay. Now, we don't need some wage inflators. No, we just need more people to create jobs. Then everyone can work a third or fourth job, and then they'll get the amount of money that they need.
Are the jobs any good? Hey, God, no. But there's
they're creating them.
Just got the new track from Superfly Arturo.
Ian, how have you been?
I've been all right. I've just been working all the live long day still.
You're a little burned out, eh?
Oh man, to describe me as burnt out would be some clever thing about understating it, like ash, involving ash, or I don't know. I'm fucking burnt out. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
It's tough.
Well, I believe it.
It's tough out there.
Project.
That's right.
You've done it all by yourself, which is makes the project even bigger.
It does, yeah. It's not easy. Not easy. But it's gonna get done. Still waiting on that Kickstarter, which still waiting on it. Nothing else to be said about that.
See the light at the end of the tunnel?
I do see the light at the end of the tunnel, yeah.
Your work goes, so that's great.
That's the hardest part, is like seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Like being so close to being done with a project and then thinking like, oh man, I'm almost there, I can almost quit working on it. But in order for me to get to there, I have to finish the work on it, which is just painful.
You have like that senioritis, as some would call it, where
yeah,
you know you're almost out of it, so now you just want to
just want to veg.
Yeah. Makes it harder when you know you're almost free.
Yeah. Your body's just like, come on, just call it. Just say you're done. I wanna play fucking Dickball Simulator. Brandon, what have you been up to lately?
I've been pretty productive lately. I've been knocking out as many jobs as I can because I need the money right now.
Nice.
I know it's the story of everyone's lives, but
oh yeah, right.
More than average. Because all the bill we paid our
deposits. Because you're hosting a giant party soon.
All the bills are coming in for this party. People, they want their money.
It's so weird.
And you know, I don't want my like thumbs to get broken. And, like,
somebody should create some jobs for you and them.
I agree. I created jobs for them, but now I need my jobs to pay for the jobs that I created for them.
Oh.
Something like that.
Go find yourself a job, creator.
But yeah, so everything's getting paid off now. We're in the final steps. We're 2 months away as of today.
Wow.
It's crazy because everybody on this poor show has had to like listen to me and be like, every time you ask what's new, me talk about it for the last year and a half. But we're almost, that light at the end of the tunnel is almost here as well. You won't have to hear me talk about it anymore.
Yeah, and do you feel the senioritis?
No, it's actually different because now that it's like so close, I feel like up until this point I was kind of taking it easy with planning, and now I'm like, we gotta go. I mean, we've done pretty good. It's pretty figured out. There's not much left to do. But I am just trying to like get it all done now and make sure I'm not forgetting anything.
Right.
But no, I not so much senioritis because at the end you get a party.
Yeah, but you still gotta
That's kind of similar. You're probably gonna party when you're done.
I mean, I'm gonna definitely play video games for like a couple days straight.
Sounds like a party.
That's a lie. I'm actually gonna do some video editing.
But you enjoy it.
I do, but you know, I'm not doing the video editing right afterwards because I'm just like, oh boy, I can't wait to edit these videos.
You know something funny? Since you've been working so much over the past few months, my sleep schedule has gotten much better because I'm not up playing video games with you.
That's so strange. I don't understand the correlation.
I don't know if there is a real correlation. It sounds
I think
fake.
you're fucking lying.
I've been going to bed at normal times, and
Your relationship with your fiance is improved.
it's improved big time. Yeah.
Your
Yeah,
cats
you
actually
get
give you the
married.
time of day.
It's true. We even got a third one now. Well, it's not here yet, but it's supposed to arrive any day now.
You went from 0 cats at like the beginning of 2 years ago to 1 cat at the beginning of this year to
We
2
do a cat
cats
a year now?
to 3 cats. I mean, no, you got 2 cats. It's growing at an exponential rate. If anything, you're gonna end up with 8 cats by the end of next year.
Don't say that. We got Theo 2.5, about 3 years ago.
Mhm.
And then we got
Teddy, like this
Teddy.
year.
last summer.
Okay.
So we've had her for over a year now.
So it is
then we got-
exponential because there was a 2-year gap between the first 2 cats.
Mhm.
Now there's a 1-year gap between the second 2 cats. It's like one of
Right.
the it's like one of those fucking cookie clicker games. So like halfway through next
In a
year.
half a year, we're gonna get another cat.
Exactly.
That's what you're trying to say to me?
That's true. Well, there's always room for more cats. That's if anyone wants to
cats.
walk away with a lesson from their hours wasted watching this terrible show, it's
What?
that you never.
Terrible.
What?
I like
could
the
he?
show.
Okay, as one of the few people who watches the VODs, I rank it a 7 out of 23.
Aw. I like the DrawBomb show.
Well, you're wrong.
Okay, fair enough.
Your opinion is incorrect.
So, we're drawing people in costumes here, at least I am. The spooky season is upon us.
That's
It's
correct.
October 3rd.
Yes.
Are you a fan of Halloween? How do you feel about
I
it?
love Halloween. I love the spoops. I love any reason to dress up in an elaborate costume. I love any reason to
Anything this year
party.
for Halloween?
I would like to. I was talking with some folks about making another trip, because like when I went to Philly most recently, I was there for a couple days, but I didn't really I didn't have enough time down there to really do or see all the people who I wanted to really do all the things and see all the people who I wanted to.
Right.
To really do all the people that I no, but I didn't
Hard
get.
to check all those boxes.
It is. So I was talking to some folks about making a longer extended trip towards the end of October. Once these projects are cleared away, once I know I'm free from like this terrible workload I've gotten myself under. And I was invited to a potential Halloween party that might be happening at the end of the month. So that's sort of what I've got in the back of my head as my Halloween festivities. Beyond that, maybe watch some movies with some folks over Discord. But that party's kind of like the big thing that I have in the back of my mind right now. So we'll see how that goes.
Cool. Sounds
Yeah.
good.
How about you?
I have a party at the... I think the official like Halloween date will be probably the 29th this year. That's Saturday. I have a party I'm going to that day. And then we've started the scary movies already. Yesterday we watched, I say scary, but they're not necessarily scary. You know, we watched Nope yesterday, which I liked.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was pretty fun.
Nice.
And then we watched The Fly because you guys watched it in the movie group, and I was jealous that I didn't get to watch it.
You decided to catch up.
Watched it. It was great. I think we should watch The Fly too. I think
we should too. I agree. I'm very down to watch The Fly too.
It's not as good because The Fly one is great.
You're telling me that the unapproved, like the unofficial sequel to The Fly, made by the studios like 6 years after the fact, might not be as good as the original?
That's my theory.
You, sir,
and
are making some wild accusations.
I'm making waves.
We're gonna have to verify.
What do you mean by unofficial?
Well,
Like Cronenberg didn't make it.
Cronenberg didn't make it. Jeff Goldblum's not involved.
Right.
Like none of the people who made the original film, aside from maybe the studio.
People who own the rights made a movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like the sequel that they made to The Matrix would have felt a lot less official if the Wachowskis hadn't been the ones sort of taking the reins on that puppy.
That's true. That's true.
But then maybe that would have actually been a good movie, so who knows?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it was not a great flick. I didn't
No,
think, but
I didn't think so. I mean, a lot of people said they liked it, and I was like, did we watch the
I've
same?
heard some of that.
We watched the same movie. Like, here's the thing.
What part did you like?
I will give them this. I give the movie a little bit more leeway because I know that, like, and it's been confirmed since then, like, the studio was going to go ahead and make a new Matrix movie with the Wachowskis involved or not. I get it. Like, you want to hold on to your darling, like, so you do the studio, you give the studio what they want. Maybe they intentionally made it bad because they didn't give a shit about an actual Matrix sequel, so they were just like, hey, maybe if this fucking movie sucks, they'll stop asking us to make sequels. Who knows? But it was still a bad movie, whether they threw it intentionally or not. Maybe somebody else should have taken the reins on that. I don't know. Maybe it would have been more enjoyable. Who knows?
Hard to say.
It's hard to say because also it is their thing. So like, even if somebody else could have done a better job, is it their right to?
That's true. It's a weird thing about like the people who own the rights versus the people who like created the content.
Yeah.
And it seems it's kind of a bummer that the way that things have to get made, you don't ever really own your own work, and people can just like bastardize it without anything you have to say.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully with the advent of the internet, I mean, if you're able to get any sort of following on the internet, which is obviously the hard part, but if you're able to sort of there are people who have, like, because of the internet, made some very original content that they've retained full rights to, because, you know, they stayed away from the grubby studio system and things like that, and I think that's cool. For the most part,
more possible than it's ever been.
Yeah, but for the most part, still, if you want to like, if you want to make the movie that looks like an actual movie, though, you still gotta go through a fucking studio.
Right.
Or you gotta know somebody who knows how to color grade and can work a Nikon camera.
It's hard to bring a whole like village together of people that are capable to create your movie without the structure of a studio.
Yeah, the studio, I mean, the funding helps. The studio, like, I mean, it's also like a matter of like, when the studio gets behind a project, like, they will hire people whose job it is to make sure like the thing isn't a train wreck. So you have people whose entire job is to make sure scheduling is good for like one aspect, so that all the schedules like cooperate. It's a very, there's a lot of moving parts, and having the studio backing really helps to keep those moving parts all in sync. But other than that, I mean, I don't know. I've seen some people put together some pretty great looking projects with, you know, just them.
It certainly can be done.
It can be done. It's
hard.
Yeah, it's a lot of effort. I mean, you probably grow extra, like you probably convert some of your hairs into gray hairs or lose them in the process because of all the stress.
Turn gray and then you lose them.
Yeah, exactly. First they go, I'm tired of this, and then they just jump ship and like, fuck it.
You go through the Obama transformation.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is where you
age twice as
turns
fast.
Gray, and then you drone strike some people.
Oh yeah. That sounds about right. You know,
Halloween. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna go ahead. I got jack shit to say.
No. Okay, I was gonna say my thing's not going to be related to. And change. I was gonna change the subject. So.
Please.
Oh, okay. Can do. Speaking of Halloween, I'm trying to come up with some good group couple costumes for me and Morgan. I'm trying to think of a good idea. I figured this would be a good place to inquire, even though we don't seem to have many people watching tonight. But I like to kick around the ideas.
Oh,
You're a creative fella.
Well, one idea that's always seemed like a fun group costume is you get one of you to dress up in a brown t-shirt and shorts and hat, and then the other person is on a dolly as you cut a whole bunch of cardboard boxes into a stack so that they can fit inside of with their face poking out. And then the one person just dollies the other person around, and there's a stack of crates being delivered by a UPS driver.
That actually is pretty fun. I like that. Although how do you go to the bathroom?
That's the hard part. Because I haven't ever had a person to share a costume with.
Maybe very easily, like about your waist, you can step out of the boxes below you. And then
I was thinking the boxes are like a facade, and you like peel them back like a doorway or something like that.
Oh, that would be a good option as well.
Yeah.
Either the doorway option or the you're wearing the top half and the bottom half you just step into.
Right, like a pair of Roblox, like top body and bottom body parts or whatever.
It's a good option. I'm gonna consider that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right now, the other option I had, not the other option, but one other thought I had so far that I kind of liked was, I thought it'd be fun to do the twins from The Shining, except I would just like leave my beard and everything, and
yeah, you look like a very scruffy.
Grab a wig and then just stand next to Morgan in the same outfit.
It would look especially funny if you both gave like the dead face, sort of like.
Yeah, and now Morgan's really good with makeup. She can like put like dark circles around her eyes and all that stuff. Perfect. So that's another idea.
You could always go as the guy in the suit and then the person in the dog costume.
That's great. Yeah, no one would get it, right? Except for like one person at the party.
I feel like you'd get. I mean, the thing is, I feel like the meme of that picture has traveled the internet enough. Like they might not say The Shining, but they'd say, "I recognize that."
We will dress up as that, and then we'll just. The party will probably be like in the garage or something. We'll just go inside their house and just sit in a room until people walk in.
Perfect. Yeah, just sit on the bed.
Yeah. Really commit to the bit.
I mean, here's the thing. If you have a costume and the only way you can get it across is you have to do a bit, you gotta commit to the bit.
That's right. Definitely done that before.
If the costume,
for Halloween one time.
If the costume takes a bit, you must commit. Sorry, I was doing my best Eddie Cochran. Go ahead.
I was gonna say
Johnny Cochran.
Done the Johnny Cochran. That also threw me off when you said Eddie, and then you were like, "Go ahead." I was
his brother.
My brain had a moment where I was like,
"Just skip past the part where I fucked the name up. Don't think about it."
Sorry. I've committed to the bit before. I One time I went is Jeff Lebowski, and I drank White
A
Russians
bunch of White
the whole
Russians?
time, which was kind of disgusting
Yeah,
in hindsight.
I
to
can
drink
do
them all
about
night long.
2.
Yeah, it was rough, but I did it.
Did you get
Probably
fucked
made
up?
me lactose intolerant. Sure, yeah, I did. But you know, they're milky. A lot of milk to drink in a night.
Yeah. And Kahlua.
Yeah.
The Kahlua is where it really becomes tough, is because that's where all the sweet comes in.
Yeah, I couldn't do that now, but
Yeah.
it was a different time.
Gotta get yourself a nice little bottle of Lactaid.
That's right. One second, I gotta plug my headphones in.
Oh man. Guys, quick, say everything mean you can about Brandon. He can't hear you.
I'm back.
Okay.
Say
you-
nice things about Brandon.
everyone was saying the nicest things about you.
Aw, so sweet.
I know.
Gosh, we have the best community.
We got the nicest. Look at all the nice things people are saying in the chat. The
Yeah, it
nicest
feels like
community.
old times.
Yeah. Just like when we first started this show.
Yeah.
Good shit.
Our community is pretty good.
No,
I'm always pretty
we've got
impressed
very
by the
supportive
amount of people
people.
that usually come out.
I'm impressed that anybody shows up. So when it's like we have 3
Man,
people
do you really
who are
hate the show?
no, I just don't know what we don't like. It's one of those things where it's like if I see some dudes doing an internet show and like on YouTube, there's like a certain point where it has to have like a level of production value to it, or views to it, or subscribers on their channel or something like that, or else it's like sad. You know what I mean? And then I
You
look
think
at
we're
it.
sad? Think we're in the sad range?
I think that we are sort of within the sad range. I think if a rando on YouTube is like scrolling past our content and like an episode of our show pops up, they'll see like, oh, DrawBomb episode 125. Oh, 3 total views on YouTube. That's sad.
That's fair. We live on Twitch, though. I mean, the YouTube is great, and you do some great work over there, but that's not where the
No, and
community lives.
we're doing much better on Twitch, as you can see.
All right, I'll shut the fuck up.
I'm gonna cover this DrawBomb
you know,
with my other hand.
I would watch this show.
I don't even watch a lot of Twitch streams. I watch some. I've been more engaged with Twitch now, like this past 2 years, than I have in the past. More so last year, actually, than this year. I kind of fell off this year a little bit. But I've been so busy.
I watch more this year than I have in the past, just because I've also been busy, but I use it as background noise a lot of times. when I'm
Yeah,
doing other stuff, when I'm working.
I had a lot of people who I did watch pretty regularly on Twitch last year, and this year they all collectively like dropped off the face of the earth. So it's kind of like I had these people who I assimilated into my routine, who I enjoyed, and now it's just kind of I have to start from like square one again. It's
Yeah.
like,
Well, that, you know, I can see how that would be a problem.
it's not the worst thing in the world, but it's also just kind of sad because when you sort of start watching a Twitch channel, you're kind of you're not investing just in like what content the channel produces, but like the people behind it.
Yeah.
And so
you
like
make friends there, and you make friends with people in the chat.
yeah, and so when like the person disappears or stops streaming, you're like, well, I hope they're still alive,
Yeah,
which is an
they're doing
interesting thought to have.
It's that weird like parasocial like
Yeah.
relationship with a social media entity.
Yeah, for sure. That is weird. It's like the line between actually knowing somebody on Twitch and like, you know, that separation because I've thought about this. So like, for instance, I've been watching Pendleton Ward's streams a lot, and Pendleton Ward and I are not friends, but like when I comment in his chat, he like knows who I am. He's like,
he recognizes your name.
recognizes my
You're
name.
regular.
He's even streamed one of my animations on his stream before, just watching it, saying like, "Oh, this
Right.
looks good." So like I know he's seen my stuff. But Pendleton, I would not say like, oh, like I know of Pendleton Ward. I don't, and I can say Pendleton Ward knows I exist, but yeah, of me. But like we're not friends, even though we're very friendly to each. Like we're internet friends, sort of, but like almost to the extent that you and I were internet friends for a while. But we actually talked to each other and like did activities with each other.
Right. Collaborated.
But there was still like that separation though for a while, I think, mentally, until we actually met up in person, which is
we're still strangers in a way.
Yeah. And I think that's never gonna, like, I think if you just know somebody over the internet, you're always gonna have that sort of that separation is gonna be there until you meet them in person, because over time, like over last year and this year, I've gotten to know some folks who have worked with Pendleton Ward and who have worked in the animation industry, and I feel comfortable saying they are my friends. But I also like, and they're very nice to me, and like I hang out with them, I play video games with them, I've watched movies with them. I was actually gonna watch Nope with them last week, but I just ended up falling asleep after the show instead of staying up.
Nope.
Yeah, I decided nope. But I would also say, like, I still feel that separate. More so, I feel like the outlier, because they all know each other in person, but I'm like the guy who lives across, that they only know through the internet. So I want to say, like, they're my friends, but I also feel like...
There's a separation. I feel that. Like, until you meet them in person, you're always like... Maybe it's not necessarily that's the moment that it changes, but there is something about,
I think it is. I mean, so we'll finish what you're saying. Yeah, go ahead.
There's a balance of how much you know, how much you know a person, and how much you like what you think this person's like. And at a certain point, that shifts. That shifts where you're like, okay, I actually know who they are. It's not just this idea in my head of them.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
It takes a while to get to that point.
Like when I met you in person for the first time, we'd been talking for like 10 years and like done a million things together. I felt like I had a pretty good sense of what you were gonna be like when you showed up, and when you hung out. It was a great time. It was like the separation wasn't there. Like before, like
we knew each other.
Yeah,
actually knew each other. We just hadn't met.
So, and I feel like knowing a person in person is like a speed run of that sort of process, because over the internet, like as much as I've like hung out with these people and I've talked to them, you know, for all they know, I could show up and still be like, hey guys, how's it going? You know, it's true. I could still show up in person and be an absolute gremlin for all these folks know. I like to think that I'm not. But maybe I am like what they consider a gremlin. Maybe I fit that bill when they meet me in person. Who knows? I don't think that's the case, but that is always sort of like the thought in the back of my, like the thought when I talk to a lot of them in the back of my mind is like, for all you all know, I'm a gremlin in real life. And I think that's maybe more to do with me than it does have to do with them.
I would say so.
Yeah.
You're pretty hard on yourself.
I'm super hard on myself.
Pretty charming, and most people like you that I've, you know, that I know who have come in contact with you.
Well, thank you. I made sure to zoom in on you when you said these nice things about me.
Yeah, you could absorb those compliments fully.
That's right. Yes, lavish me with praise.
Oh, nice things. Yeah, no, but it's true. I think pretty. You may not feel it, but I think pretty socially, like.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You make good first impressions and stuff. Although you do wear the same shirt as people, which is a mistake.
That's true, I do.
First time I met you, you were like, "Oh, I have almost that same shirt. I'm gonna wear mine
in public."
And I was like, "You sure? You sure?" And you're like, "Yeah."
I knew it was goofy, but I also thought it was very funny.
It was funny.
Yeah. I knew it was fucking cringe. Like, wearing the same shirt as somebody you're standing like next to in public is super cringe, and I sort of.
I suspect. I mean, I knew it was too, but then as time went on, my fears were justified as everybody was like, "Why are you wearing the same shirt?" And I'm like, "I did not have any part of this.
I arrived from another state in this shirt."
I was wearing this. Speaking of which, the shirt was I had a rum ham shirt on, referencing It's Always Sunny, It was in the style of Run DMC. It's pretty funny. And then you wore an actual Run DMC shirt.
I wore the Run DMC shirt your shirt was based on.
Funny story, unrelated though. On the flight, I was walking through the aisle of the plane, and some lady looked down and saw my shirt, and she goes, "Hell yeah!" She was like an older woman. She was like, "Hell yeah! I remember when I got my first like shirt. I love the band, blah blah." Blah. And I was like, "Thanks." And I like took my bag and covered up my shirt so she couldn't take like a second look.
She couldn't like look back and be like, "Wait,
Yeah.
That doesn't say Run DMC." Maybe
Wait,
she
what
was
the fuck
actually.
is that?
Maybe there is actually a band called Rumham, and you just never knew.
I don't think so.
Nah.
maybe. But I was just like, to like make her not feel stupid and make me not feel awkward. I just covered it up, and I was like, "Thank you so much." And then that was, I made it a good interaction instead of an awkward one.
Right. You made sure you didn't give that person the like sudden like moment in their head where they cringe at themselves, where they're like, "Oh my god, I
Yeah.
just complimented that person on the wrong fucking shirt."
Yeah. So I did that because I'm a good person. That's the takeaway.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, there is like that sort of debate about the concept of altruism, and is it truly altruistic if you have something to gain? Like, even if it's like you give somebody $10, you still like get a good feeling for giving money away to somebody who needs it. So like, it's not a 100% altruistic thing, because you will get
I
a sense of.
definitely did it to not feel awkward myself.
Okay.
It's probably the biggest driving force, and then also I thought it would be like,
Not for this person's sake,
she would feel awkward too, certainly.
but it was about your
I
awkwardness.
would feel awkward as well.
Okay. Altruism denied.
All right. What, it has to be completely pure? You can't benefit yourself and them?
I mean, we're just going off of a certain philosophical attitude towards altruism. There's actually, this has been a sort of debate that's sort of been not raging or anything like that, but when people who discuss altruism philosophically, they typically do discuss like, is it truly altruistic if you get
anything out of it?
Absolutely anything out of it. There's actually a Friends episode that kind of goes into that too. Where
So what, you have to be a psychopath to be a nice person? Because aren't you always going to feel good about doing nice things? You have to feel nothing?
I mean, that's
be emotionally barren to do something truly like good for someone else?
I think to be truly altruistic, you have to do something good for somebody else that you don't like, or that negatively impacts you. It's a sacrifice.
Sacrifice.
Or it's something that you're just never going to. Yeah, I guess it would probably have to be sacrificial, because
The only scenario has to be sacrifice. Otherwise, you're gonna feel good about helping someone.
or you do
Unless
something
you're,
good
like,
without realizing
emotionally
it.
Broken.
Yeah, or
Yeah,
you're an
an
emotionally
accident.
barren.
You're like, yes, I remember when I used to feel things.
So like in the Friends episode, for instance, not to like defer like deep philosophical statements to fucking Friends, but in the
I'm
episode,
actually from a religion that studies only. Each book is called The One Where.
I was gonna make a joke where I was gonna say, "What's your religion called?" The one where you worship Friends.
Yeah.
We got Friends jokes for days, folks. But at the end of that Friends episode, Phoebe tries her ultimate attempt at being altruistic is to let a bee sting her, because she suffers for it, but the bee gets the happiness of stinging her.
Bees
To which,
die.
yeah, that's what
Is that the joke?
whoever she's talking, I think it's Joey. She's having this discussion with. Joey's like, that stinging you actually kills the bee, and then Phoebe's like, "God damn it," or she says whatever. But so that's the philosophical sort of debate about altruism, though, is. But then there's people who, because it's a philosophical debate, there are people who say, well, altruism is just the act of doing something for somebody else. Feeling good about it doesn't negate it. But it's a philosophical sort of, it's the same as like, what's the sound of one hand clapping,
Yeah. I think So I think feeling good about it only negates it if you then film it and put it on your social media.
I agree with that 100%. Yeah. I was watching, it's one of my many YouTube channels that I watch today, and one of the what the channel was about, like the video itself was about two entirely disparate sort of things. It starts off with a guy reacting to like this really cringy TikTok video, and then it turns into this like video talking about a scam that Kim Kardashian pulled or whatever. But the TikTok part, the video is so just ugh. Because it's like this TikTok, and these people are sitting in what looks like a Sonic, but I guess it's a Starbucks with like outside service or whatever, which we'll get into why that's fake in a moment. But they like have this guy give them who's in like the barista outfit, give them a bunch of drinks. It's like a huge stack, and then they're like, "Oh my god, there's so many drinks. Here's your tip," and then it's just like a stack of cash, and the acting is so bad. And so like the guy's like leaning in the window, and they give him the money, and his acting is just like, "Oh my god, is that for me? Oh my god, thank you. I had so many bills."
Wow.
It's just hard to watch. It's just so bad, like very unconvincing. And then it was found out that the people obviously staged it. If you look, the guy who's getting tipped, I know, crazy, right? The guy who's getting tipped is the owner of the channel, so like he's in like every other video on the TikTok account.
Wow, they didn't even try to hide it.
They did not try at all. But then somebody else posted and said like, "Oh yeah, I saw these people filming this. They filmed outside of my Starbucks, and they didn't even tip anybody for the drinks that they used for the video." So it's like not only did they clout chase with a shitty fake giveaway like to a random person, but they also
did the opposite.
Yeah, they were actually horrible people, it turns out. So I just Mr. Beast is still cool though.
Yeah, he seems pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, sure, his videos are frequently about giving money away, but as far as I can tell, like from,
I mean, that's kind of his content. I mean, that's kind of what it is. You know?
It's his content, and you know what? Honestly, I'm just glad that the money's being given away, even if he's got to like make content out of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's an exchange. He's making a shit ton, but he's also actually like seems like he's actually giving things to people, which is cool.
Yeah, and I mean, according to videos from other YouTubers who I trust, they've said that like not only does he give on the channel, but he also like gives plenty not that he doesn't turn into content. Pretty much everyone says that he's a really good guy.
That's good. That's good.
There's also he has this really cool thing. He's got a separate channel called Mr. Beast Charity or whatever, and like the channel it's got about 10 million subscribers or whatever, like millions of views per video. But the point of the channel is that all the ad revenue from that channel specifically goes into a charity that he set up for that channel. But the channel's videos, which they post about once a month, maybe once every couple of months, it depends on like the size of their charitable thing, but like they post a video showing them doing a charity drive, doing this or that. Like the one video is about them giving like computers to schools and things like that. But I think it's just a really cool idea that he's like, yeah, I just watch these videos and I get the fucking ad revenue, and then I give that ad revenue to poor people. It's like, great.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Wish more people would do that.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, I've heard that too, that he seems like a decent dude, which is good, you know. Need more of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Somebody who's got a shit ton of money and they're like, hey, fuck it, I'll be nice to people with it. And
yeah, and you know, and ultimately, like, you know, he's making a shit ton of money off of doing it, so it's like win-win, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, again, as shitty as it probably is to like chase clout with that stuff, at least he's doing it in the best possible way, where he's,
yeah,
you know, it's sort of become his business model, and I mean, he still makes plenty of other types of content, but yeah, it's just cool that he's sort of turned this method of, he's turned giving money to people into being able to give more money to people.
Yeah, very true.
So I don't know, folks. Go watch Mr. Beast in all of his assorted channels.
He needs our help.
If anybody fucking deserves it, it's him. He deserves it more than us.
Occasionally, he just drops like 10 grand on Twitch streamers.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why we're talking about him.
Yeah. He actually.
For that purpose.
It's funny too, if you watch his videos where he does that, he has like a fake name that like a username that he uses for like sneakily getting into Twitch streams and like,
yeah,
which I think is fun. I don't remember what it is though, but it's something, I don't know. Anyways,
but no, that's pretty cool.
It's just nice to watch people give them money. One of the most recent
nice.
Mr. Beast.
Sorry,
go ahead. No, you go first. Go ahead.
Something funny. Me and Morgan have started watching Alone, which is one of those survival shows, but it's
Yeah.
actually, I'd say it's better than a lot of the others. Feels a little more like straightforward instead of like weird
reality showy stuff.
Contingencies and reality show stuff. It's pretty like basic, like straightforward. But man, people on that show, like depending on different areas are different. Some places like the biggest threat is like the temperature. Some places the biggest threat is like the wildlife. Some places they just can't fucking find food anywhere. And like we just watched one where like everybody was starving. Like everybody, they will health test you often, and if you don't pass the test, they pull you out of there. So you can't. Some people would. You got like $500,000 on the line. Somebody's gonna like stay even if they're about to like die. So they don't let that happen. They pull you out.
Yeah.
But the one we watched, it was $500,000, and people were like, everybody was getting dragged out like looking like skeletons. It was kind of nasty.
Oh my gosh.
Horrible. But then we watched a Mr. Beast episode like later that day where it was like run through Willy Wonka's factory, and they have to just do like fun games, and then that guy won $500,000. So like people on Alone have to be like, fuck this, man.
Right?
I almost died. I'm starving to death. I lost 60% of my body weight.
That's hilarious.
Got frostbite toes, and then some kid won because he made a confetti cake for Gordon Ramsay and made $500,000.
The latest
Mr.
the latest Mr. Beast video is like he's like some guy has to like stay in a house for 3 months, and he like the entire time like he's got to ration his food because he's only got a certain amount of food to deal with, and he does the challenge really well. But it's clear that for him the hardest part about the challenge is just being away from his like wife and kids for 3 months, and and so it's just funny to watch because I got very heavy that episode of The Simpsons where Mr. Burns is like, just remember you're here forever, and then he rearranges all of the photos to make the words like yeah, do it for her. I was like, this big Homer Simpson do it for her energy in this fucking video right now. And the guy wins a bunch of money and his wife and kids crying.
How long did he have to do it?
100 days, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, but he's like he was like he would be alone. Like he was in a house in the middle of like a field with like no human contact aside from either Mr. Beast or for like Father's Day they let him see his kids.
Did he have any like entertainment? Wouldn't that do damage to you mentally to be in like solitude with no entertainment, like nothing to? Yeah,
that is a form of torture. But they didn't do that. I mean, the Mr. Beast checked in on it constantly just to make sure that like the situation wasn't ever like the entire time I was watching it, I never got the sense that like it was not under control.
Right.
Which is what you'd fucking hope for, you know?
Yeah. 'Cause that's like, as much as I like Alone, there's like you're always constantly thinking about like, kind of fucked up that people are willing to starve to death to try to make enough money to take care of their family. Like, what's wrong with the country if that's what people are willing to do?
This show is really an indictment on society if you think about it.
Yeah, like, all right, who wants to go get dropped in wilderness and like try not to get eaten by a bear and starve to death for 100 days for a chance at not suffering the rest of your life.
We'll reduce
Just
your
a chance.
student loans.
If you get second place, you're still fucked and you still have to suffer.
Yeah. That's the thing is I feel bad for the people who are on the seasons where it's like all they did was starve.
Yeah.
Hey, can the Netflix location scout get us a better location for my season, please?
It's pretty wild seeing some of the contrasts. We've only watched like a season and a half so far, but the first season was the one where people were starving like crazy, and then the second season it's like people have been just pulling out giant fish like every day. And it's
That
like,
makes it...
They're in the Arctic, so it's about to get like really cold, and that's going to be the trouble. But they're not food-wise. They're eating pretty good compared to the last season that I watched.
Hearing that the first season they all went starving and then the second season they did not just makes it sound like they didn't have their shit together that first season.
I'm not watching them in that order, by the way.
Okay.
The first season I watched, I think, was the newest season that has come out.
And
then
where
I
it's
watched the
all
season
starved.
before it, after that. So I've been watching it in reverse order.
Okay. Interesting.
But, you know, if you're wondering why I would do something like that, the reason is because it's one of those like reality shows that's spread out amongst all the different streaming services separately in different seasons, so you can't just watch it in order like a normal person.
Because who wants to
have to like find out where it's located, you know?
Because when streaming first came onto the scene, what everyone was really excited for was having to jump from 15 different websites to be able to see a show its entirety.
One friggin' show.
Yeah,
exactly. We finally reached our potential.
Don't you want to binge watch? Well, too bad.
Yeah, but it's a pretty interesting show. It's crazy. Things that always fuck people up is just like stuff you can never plan for. Usually, like
oh yeah,
one dude was like doing really well, like better than the rest of the group, and then he lost his fire starter in the woods. He set it down somewhere and forgot where he set it down.
Oh god.
And then this like cut to him like panicking, like running through the woods trying to find it, and he didn't find it, and then he had to leave because he doesn't know how to start fire otherwise.
You know,
I've also seen.
I want to mock him for that. Be like, just fucking put some sticks together. But I'm sure it's much, much, much harder than that.
Oh, that's definitely what you do when you watch the show. You shit on these people who are way better at surviving than you'll ever be, but you're the viewer sitting in your warm home, so you can just be like, God, you suck. What an idiot.
Stupid idiot. Just look it up on YouTube. Look up how to start a fire. That's what I would do for sure. Is I would watch. Like, I would definitely train. I would definitely like watch mad videos. I would.
Oh, for sure.
What's that channel? That YouTube channel. It's like ancient build. Let me just look it up real quick.
Yeah, you better do all that stuff. And also, best tip I can give you from what I've seen so far, gain a bunch of weight before you go, because the starving season, the guy who came in second place, he was terrible at hunting, terrible at fishing, terrible at foraging. He only made it that far because he had weight that he was just like living off of. Like the heaviest guy when the show started, and he came in second place just from that.
Of course. I mean, he probably knew. He prepared. I
mean, if I was ever on the show, I would pack on as much weight, like healthy weight as I could. And then burn it off as the show went on.
Might as well. Shit, there's a channel I've subscribed to. More recently, I swear to God, YouTube like rearranges your shit so much just to try and pump the algorithm to your face. Guy builds hut. Primitive technology, that's the guy. He's just making a fucking kiln in the woods. So before I go on that YouTube show, I would just watch his entire channel and be like, okay, now I know how to make iron.
Yeah, study all that shit.
Yeah.
Because some of the people are like, that's another thing about the show that's interesting. Once again, I'm critiquing people doing a thing I could never do. I'd be first one out, guaranteed. But there'll be people that have like a full log cabin that they've like built and like sealed every like log with like mud and sticks, so there's like it's like airtight and like warm, and it's like a chimney built into it, and like they have a smoking tent where they're like smoking their meat, so the meat like lasts extra long. And then they'll be like, this is like over a month in, and then they'll cut to somebody else at the same point in time in the competition who's like their shelter's like a tarp hanging over a stick. like on a branch on a tree, and they're just like, "It's so cold out here." And it's like, why does your shelter suck so much? What have you been doing with all your time?
Yeah. I do feel like so like when they do the casting for those shows, obviously every reality show is going to be someone's got their finger on the scale somewhere to make shit more entertaining. So I'm sure that they like when they cast for these things, they cast some like a half or like 3 people maybe who really know what they're doing, and then the rest are just a bunch of dumbasses who like don't know shit.
It's true. Who are like very confident in themselves but with nothing to back it up. Yeah.
And who will just make for... Because I remember the one time I was watching Hell's Kitchen, because there was a stint where we were just watching every season of Hell's Kitchen. Which, by the way, if you ever want a good time, don't watch Hell's Kitchen, just watch the new intro that they make for every season, because those are ridiculous.
Good?
No, just some poor bastard had to like take a bunch of footage of like people doing stuff in front of a green screen and then turn it into this ridiculous collage. Like the one season is that was like the first season I sort of hopped in on. Everyone was like clearly like they were told to stand in front of a green screen and like pretend like you're chopping onions. Why don't you throw a piece of food at the camera? Isn't that fun? Why don't you go do this thing? Why don't you pretend like you're smoking some meats? And then like when you watch the actual fucking intro, first of all, they always have Fire by the Ohio Players because it's Hell's Kitchen. But then the actual intro is all this footage of people like chopping onions. They've all of a sudden been put into this scenario where they're climbing a fucking Mount Everest mountain, and people are like ice pick climbing up and falling off and like hitting each other with snowballs. Whoa. Or like dodge.
I'm gonna look this up immediately. Maybe during the break I'm gonna watch a couple of them.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of break, we're pretty much finished.
Are you done with this drawing? I think I'm done.
Yeah. I just farted too, so I hope everyone heard that.
I didn't hear it, and thankfully, due to the limits in technology, I also cannot smell it, so that's great.
I'm working on it.
The internet's not there yet. No. We're not fully connected yet, and I'm okay with that.
We're the internet of things, but it ain't the internet of smells.
Once you can send smell through the internet, what do you think the first use is going to be? Well, obviously
fucking
a fart,
pussy
right?
smell.
That'll be the most used purpose, unfortunately.
Remember that joke when people would say like, "Hey, smell this," and you know they'd be like, "It's fucking pussy, dude." That'd be the internet doing that right away. Fucking Johnny Sin's Twitter account will go viral because he'll just like put a tweet of his fingers up against the screen and you'll smell it and go,
It'll be you know, all the OnlyFans girls out there selling their like farts and stuff. It'll be much easier, you know, the streamline.
Oh my god, I just uploaded some new smells to my Patreon. This one's called Violet Cloaca.
And this one's called Quiff.
Quiff.
On that note, let's take a break.
We've got a new brand of scents, all based on different movies. This one's Grand Budapest Hotel. This one is Fight Club. And then this one right here is my favorite, Snatch. Anyway, see you guys. Be right back. Here we go.
We're back.
We're back. We've lost 11.2% of frames. Can't wait to have yet another 2 hours long chat with my internet company. Oh yeah.
Who needs 11 frames, 11%?
Yeah, fuck that shit, man.
You know, whenever you blink, you lose 11% frames.
That's so right, you know? When your screen shows you above 24 frames, the human eye can only really see in 30 frames
no, is he doing
per
a bit?
second. No, I'm not gonna go into it. I just remember back in the fucking days of when the console
I said it that
war.
way because right when you started to say that, you froze, and then the stream froze.
Oh boy,
so
gotta love it.
Right on time.
Well, let's just leave it at that then. What do you say? Brandon, we were talking about the Hell's Kitchen intros momentarily.
We were.
I'm gonna send you a link.
I'm dying to see some of them.
I'm
watch it on the stream. Is that allowed?
I have it set up in a specific way. You just, before you click it, let me know, and because I'm gonna get your reaction to it.
Okay.
But I sent you a link to a Reddit post linking to it because the Reddit post title is so funny, because when I first saw this season, that's what I thought too. The Reddit post is titled "This Intro to Hell's Kitchen." I sent you the link, by the way. You should have it now. I'm not sure if you.
Where did you send?
In the show chat.
Oh, okay, my bad. All right, let's see. Oh yeah, I keep forgetting that's the thing. All right, here it is. Let me know when to click on it.
Well,
Okay, yeah.
read the intro or the
Yeah,
title
let me go to the. Click the link to see the full thing. This intro to Hell's Kitchen is like someone gave a few freshmen in art school a green screen along with a $50 budget and said, "Make an intro that has nothing to do with our show."
Yeah.
I'm very excited to see it.
So let me know when you are ready to go, and we'll watch it together with you.
Okay. How about you count down, because you are the host, so that way we're actually synced
Okay.
up.
All right, I'll start at 5, 4,
Okay.
3, 2. Oh, we're gonna go on go, by the way. It's gonna be 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, Joe just killed some people.
Yeah, he did a murder.
Hey.
This job of green screening is so good too.
There's a Yeti. Why is this for a cooking show?
Why is this for a cooking show?
Those dynamite? Oh my god.
Yeah. They died. Those people are dead.
Yeah. Oh, he's like, I refuse to do any of that bullshit.
Yeah. That's it.
I will move my arm slightly to pretend to stab a flag, but other than that, fuck all this.
That was just footage they already had.
Wild.
Yeah. There's a lot of seasons like that too. They generally do the same green screeny type shit. Maybe not necessarily on top of a snow-covered peak or anything like that, but
It's always the same song.
it's always Fire by the Ohio Players.
Oh yeah, the season 14 is jungle themed.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing that one too. Because once we watched that season, then went back season by season.
But there's still like a kitchen in the background, but there's like alligators attacking some of them, and
Yeah, I think for the most part there is a kitchen in the background of a lot of the intros, but I think that season in particular, they just completely threw out any concept of a kitchen. I don't even know what they were thinking.
they're stranded on a mountain, but they're having an okay time, even though they're actively all trying to murder each other.
Yeah, they're
In
all
some kind of battle royale fashion.
they're all on the verge of death. It is a battle royale if you think about it. Really, Hell's Kitchen is a battle royale. But
Do you like the show Hell's Kitchen?
No.
Okay. Fair enough.
I don't. I watched a lot of it. It's just it's still reality show fakeness all the way through. Talking about how they get people who aren't good on these shows, like they get 3 people who are really confident, and they get 3 the rest of the people are all like train wrecks or whatever. I remember the one season of the show I watched. The one character reveals about 3 episodes in that before the show they'd never cooked before in their life.
What?
Yeah.
The fuck?
And that's
What even
one of
is
their
this show?
that's one of their big discussions they have when they finish the kitchen work. They go back and the one character's just like, yeah, I never cooked before the show, and everyone's just like, what?
Why are you here?
You're right.
What is
Why are
this
you?
show?
And
It's all a sham.
that's where the facade completely broke apart for me. Is I was just like, this is all clearly fake because they make these people act out bits. The shit's phony as hell. Everything's fucking phony feeling on that show, as with most reality shows. But that moment in particular where the character's like, I never cooked before this show, I'm just like, okay, yeah, so even in the casting process, you are not casting for people who are going to be good contestants.
They go
You're
personality over everything else.
Personality and drama is going to beat out actual. And that's just, like, whatever. Make your fucking reality show full of stupid bits. Fake up the proceedings or whatever. Whatever. But if you're going to have a competition, make it where like people get restaurant deals or shit like that. Make it a real competition. Don't fake that.
Right. I agree.
So
do you have any reality shows you like?
Oh man.
You can't answer that. That's fine. I'm just curious.
I have a also a Gordon Ramsay show. I do have a sort of perverse affinity for Hotel Hell.
Okay, what's that one?
So, is it Kitchen Nightmares where he goes to different like restaurants and he's like, oh, what's this
that
then?
They need his help.
Yeah. So Kitchen Nightmares is fun enough. It's one of those shows where I feel gross watching it, but whatever. It's kind of enjoyable. It's got its moments. Hotel Hell is like Kitchen Nightmares, except instead of just running a kitchen, these people are trying to run an entire hotel establishment essentially.
So Gordon work at one of those types of places.
I did, yeah, and I never stayed in our room, so I couldn't verify if I felt like Gordon Ramsay ever should have showed up. But in Hotel Hell, Gordon Ramsay will show up. He'll be like, "Hey, how's it going?" And they'll do the same shit they do with Kitchen Nightmares, where on Kitchen Nightmares, he'll be trying out the food, and then they have a server who comes out, and they pick the snippiest server ever to bring Gordon Ramsay his food, because
they probably don't even work there. They just
honestly, probably not.
Episode.
Yeah, he'll like be like, "Can I get the lasagna?" And so like some waitress will bring out a lasagna, and he'll be like, "My God, it's completely soggy. Do you see this?" And then it'll cut to like the waitress who just browned the food, and she'll be like, "Yep, well, that's how all our lasagnas come out." And then she'll like go back. And like every episode is like that. So like in Hotel Hell, Gordon Ramsay will show up to these like awful fucking hotels, and then he'll like be talking to the hostess or the host or whoever, the person who's gonna sign them in for their stay, the person who's, I think they're just called the host as well, but they're gonna do the booking and all that stuff. And he's like, "Hey, it's me. I'm here. I called you a few days ago. Here for my room." And they're like, "Oh, well, you're gonna be staying in our sub-presidential suite. Isn't that fun?" He's like, "Oh, is that the good one?" And they're like, "There are no good ones." Like, you know, they just find like this.
What is this place?
For the most part, though, I get the sense that everyone who works at the hotels and those things are really the people who work at those hotels, because holy shit, there are some nutballs on that show who do incredibly cringe and awkward things. And it's like, take the horribleness of seeing a kitchen be dirty, disgusting, serve terrible food, like from Kitchen Nightmares, and then just expand that to every potential aspect of trying to survive a day, you know? Like the bed is terrible.
How do they find these horrible places?
I have to assume the same way like terrible YouTubers do, is like they go to Yelp and just find shitty Yelp reviews and they're like, "This sounds great."
Yeah, this is great for TV. Let's go.
Because I remember the one hotel, like episode 3 or something like that. The show only ran for, I want to say, like 3 seasons or 2 seasons, if even, which is a shame. But in the one hotel, like episode 3 or something like that, the hotel owner they have like an actually pretty nice building, at least. And they have like a food area, obviously, because most hotels need to serve food because you want to eat.
True.
And the owner of the hotel was this woman. It was her and her husband. And every night she would go into like the eating area and she would start like doing karaoke, essentially, of Cher songs. And so every day at 8 p.m. she was basically putting on a terrible show in the dining area.
So
and then
she didn't really care about running a restaurant. She liked being like a performer, and this is how she got that.
100% that was the situation. And like that's what you get. That was the fun of Hotel Hell, is because you're watching such an all-encompassing scenario go fucking awry. You really get this more broad and fully defined sort of idea of the psyche that like made these buildings happen the way they did. Because watching that episode, you are convinced, or you feel, you know, as much as the editors and the people who put the show together wanted you to feel this way, I'm sure. You just get the idea that this woman wanted to be a singer, and she had a hotel. And so, and then like they'll interview all the. She got her wish. They'll interview like all the customers and be like, "So, what do you think?" I'm like, "Oh, the food's all right, I guess, but I wish the lady would stop singing." And then they would just cut to her being in like the dining area, going, "If I could turn back time." It's just it's a nightmare.
I forget what I was gonna say now, but yeah, that's, you know, that does sound like a hotel nightmare. And then Gordon Ramsay's just like, "You gotta bloody well stop singing."
Yeah, basically, yeah. They say, if you want to be a singer, this ain't it for you. And also, don't be a singer.
It is kind of fun because you always wonder how these places potentially be so clueless or get so bad to begin with, or what kind of drives them to be so terrible. But yeah, it's interesting. I don't know why these shows bring him on.
Yeah.
Maybe, or what? Like, how does any of these shows exist? I think they think it's going to help their business, but
I think they do. Yeah.
It exploits a little bit, right?
I mean, there's a number of shows that actually do just like provide your restaurant.
Nathan for You.
Well, that, but or like fucking diners, drives and dive-ins or whatever. Like every episode of that show is fucking Guy Fieri shows up. He's like, "Let me have that burger. Nom 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 nom. That's a good burger. You should go to this place." And then he goes to another place, and then a bunch of people are just like.
He never criticizes anyone. It's fully like praise on that show.
Yeah. Whereas I think a lot of people who end up on Kitchen Nightmares, it's hubris. Like somebody's just like, "Dude, you should put your fucking kitchen on." Either it's like some random person who knows the people or works there secretly like submitted them for the show, and then Gordon Ramsay showing up is not a surprise by that point because they've been informed. But I'm sure getting the letter saying like Gordon Ramsay's gonna come film in your fucking restaurant, I'm sure that's a surprise in the beginning.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of the places that end up on that show, somebody's like, "Hey, you should submit your show for Kitchen Nightmares," and they'll be like, like Gordon Ramsay would ever have anything bad to say about Anne's Bakery or whatever.
Oh God, yeah, that one was the crazy one that went viral.
And I've done, like, when I was watching Kitchen Nightmares slightly more regularly with my ex, we would watch an episode and then we would Google the places that showed up in the episodes to see if they're still like running. Usually the answer was no.
Yeah.
Sometimes the answer was yes, and then you would be like, "Oh, good for them." A lot of times what you would find more than anything about confirming the existence of the restaurant was you'd find like people on Reddit being like, "Man, this poor guy was working so fucking hard, and that shitty sister was just ruining the restaurant." You know, you'd see people basically echoing usually how you felt, because again, for all we know, these episodes are edited to conjure a specific sort of.
So who knows if any of these places are even fully real?
If they're real, if the people are like how they are, you know, because we can only assume that, like, my assumption is everything I see in a fucking reality TV shows is fake as shit. Like, it didn't happen that way.
In some way, yeah.
Yeah. Either deceptive editing.
Show, not my favorite show. I've only watched like 2 episodes or 3 episodes, but I find Undercover Boss funny because it's like maybe like season 1 that show operated as designed, but since then, every episode there's like. So the way the show usually works is the boss comes in and he follows people around, then he finds one person who's like does such a good job that they get like
and they're underappreciated. Yeah.
But by like season 2, when the show's like in the zeitgeist, somebody's like, "That's my fucking boss in a wig. I'm gonna go be the sweetest person and tell them about my problems," and it happens every episode. Like, yeah, you know, I don't have a car to get to work, and my poor kid is, you know. Poor kid doesn't have enough food to eat. Anyways, we better stop talking. We really got to get back to work. It's important that we get back to work.
Yeah. These Amazon packages won't box themselves.
And then they're like, wow, you're a hard worker and you know you need our help. So here, have the car and have a raise.
Yeah.
And have some stock options. And they're like, wow. And it's like they knew that was their boss.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then my
Even
favorite...
like later seasons, they're pretty obvious. They're like, yeah, I had a feeling you had like a fake face on the whole time. So yeah, I kind of thought you maybe were the boss.
Yeah, or it's especially funny whenever they're like, but this worker's good, but this boss is terrible. We took this manager and we fired them. And it's like do they do that on Undercover Boss like a whole lot? Not a lot.
Not a whole lot, but it does happen.
Yeah, and that's always such a fun moment because I also feel like that's the most staged shit of all. Like a reality show fired you from your job as boss. I'm sorry, that does not happen.
Yeah, right. I don't know. It's a weird concept.
It's especially weird if you've been working at that company for a while and like the guy who's the nicest guy in the company finally gets a raise, and also the shitty manager that everyone's been complaining about for like 10 years finally gets fired when the reality show rolls into town. It's like, oh, so you'll actually do your job when the reality show is watching. Yeah.
Maybe they're just trying to get rid of the manager, and he's like, they have no good way to get rid of him, so they have to do it through
yeah,
elaborate TV.
We had to get Undercover Boss to fire Jerry.
The only way to get rid of him.
How do you like my Gordon Ramsay I drew with my right hand?
It's with your right hand?
Yeah.
It's good. It feels dreamlike.
Try to capture his hair.
Oh, you captured it.
Yeah.
Doing a angry.
They should do like a Gordon Ramsay, but like his jaw unhinges and like a smaller Gordon Ramsay comes out.
It's raw! What the, are you bleeding cold as a fucking steak?
You bloody donut! Or something. He calls people donuts, right?
Yeah, I think
right?
so.
What's
yeah.
his signature? Yeah. I want that Gordon Ramsay show, except he's yelling at the children.
Yeah. Oh my god. Somebody could easily, I'm sure somebody has, where they've cut together.
Oh yeah,
like,
so we had to edit that.
him roasting somebody in like Kitchen Nightmares and then versus the Gordon's thing. I mean, we should still totally. If I wasn't doing 8 other projects, I would completely have spent the time by now.
You should
editing
write
the
some of these down for when you're bored
You're
and
right.
looking for something.
Yeah. There's gonna be like the Gushers commercial though, when it's like that scene from Blade where like their heads. I forget.
Yeah.
Did you watch
add that to
Blade
the
with
list.
us?
Yeah, I was the one with that idea.
Okay. Good. Because you know.
Yeah, you should make all these and then post them on the channel, and then they'll get way more popular than anything I've ever helped with, and then I'll just be there for it.
What was the thing we just said? It was Gordon Ramsay yelling at kids. Right.
Yeah.
There we go. Good shit. It's in a file now.
Right.
By the way, I drew Gordon Ramsay with my right hand, folks. It's because my left hand hurts, and I don't want to develop a chronic condition.
Nah.
Even though I've got more drawing to do tonight.
Just draw it with your feet.
Learn how to draw with my fucking mouth. Gordon Ramsay, here we come.
It's rule.
Ow, fuck. Ow. Ow.
Now you hurt your mouth. Oh no.
My mouth.
You have carpal tunnel of the mouth.
Yeah. I got it from extreme overuse.
Your doctor's like, you need to stop sucking so much dick. And you're like, no, I just had to draw with my mouth because of my wrist. And they're like,
Likely story.
That'll be $4,000.
Yeah. Yeah, you walk in. Yeah, it seems like you should stop sucking so much dick. Alright, pay up.
Basically. As they like they sanitize their hands 20 times.
Yeah. I got the idea to do this from Michael J. Fox in that episode of Scrubs. Before that, I'd never washed my hands.
You do that a lot?
In the one episode of Scrubs that Michael J. Fox is on, he's a character with OCD, and so his character sort of hits the breaking point. Like, everyone is in love with his character, but then they realize that he's dealing with his own set of issues when he's trying to prep for surgery and he can't stop washing his hands.
Scrubs always trying to be like so poignant.
Trying to make you feel shit. Trying to make you be like, aw, Brendan Fraser.
My Gordon Ramsay kind of looks like the whole world's trying to make you be like, aw, Brendan Fraser.
That's true. Accurate.
Good work to his publicist.
Whoever's doing his PR, they're nailing it.
Yeah. I'm like, I feel bad for him, but I don't even know why. I don't even know the details.
Yeah, I'm not gonna like go googling like what was Brendan Fraser's trauma, because that just seems like that's one of those things where as I'm typing it, I would feel bad, you know.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Googling the source of somebody's trauma. But I when Brendan Fraser sort of started this whole comeback tour, that I would argue he started maybe like a little bit before pandemic, because I started to hear about like, oh, Brendan Fraser. I just heard that he had gone through some awful things with the studio with so and so. And I kind of just
feel about any person. I'm glad he's doing good.
Yeah, I'm glad he's doing good. I just took their word for it, because I'm like, oh, they dealt with trauma. Good, that's all I need to know. I don't need to know what exactly happened, unless, yeah.
Fill me in.
Tell me about your worst day of your life.
Yeah, I'm not interested. I don't want to know.
That's okay. I'm gonna Google it, and an internet search engine will tell me everything.
Don't worry, your whole story's already written for you.
I'm gonna read all about your trauma.
Like, that sounds fucked up.
Yeah, it's pretty real.
Yeah.
You could just I honestly, I'm not recommending it, but if you could search like Brendan Fraser, and would probably autocomplete a few sentences for you. That would find you right to that page immediately.
It's like the one time I was talking with some folks, and we were talking about Eazy-E from I want to say, God, now I feel like an idiot. Public Enemy.
NWA.
NWA. Damn it.
Wasn't he?
No, I think you're right. I think Eazy-E was NWA. Not Public Enemy. But we were talking about Eazy-E, and we were talking about how he passed away from AIDS. And then I was like, I wonder how where he ended up getting AIDS. And then I thought about it, and I was like, well, that's a sentence I'm never gonna Google. I'm never gonna Google how did Eazy-E get AIDS, because that just feels like
probably
one of those.
Probably from sex would be my guess.
Probably from sex is a good guess, yeah. But more than that, I don't like.
Nah, don't need to know.
Some things we.
Sorry that you had AIDS. I don't need to know every detail of your suffering.
Yeah, I feel like if anything, I shouldn't know every detail of your suffering, unless you did like a tell-all book. Then maybe I'll read it through that and not through somebody like, support you directly as you regale us with your traumas instead of some Washington Post.
If I know, it's maybe because you told me, not because someone did some digging and found out all your...
TMZ found like video in a dumpster or some shit like that.
We'll talk about it after you watch it, but there was a TMZ joke in Nope that I thought was pretty funny.
Oh, interesting.
They just kind of like... TMZ was represented by a character, and
that's fun.
They kind of almost did it a little cartoony.
I have to imagine it's gonna be, it would be I don't think it would be kind of crazy for a movie to have I think if you have a character in your movie slash TV show or whatever, who is essentially a reporter from TMZ, you can really only go at it from one of two ways, which is either they're a horrible person who sucks, they're a villain, or they're a person they're just getting a paycheck and they hate their life as much as, like, you know. Yeah. You can't have like a good guy who's happy to work for TMZ. Like, you just can't.
They kind of did part of what you're saying, but they also kind of made it like the person is fit for the job just based on their personality.
Interesting.
That's the way I can describe it.
Okay.
I could spoil it, but I don't need to if you don't.
Please don't. No. That's
okay. Yeah, it's just like a one-off bit, but yeah, I'd rather you see it in the movie.
Yeah, absolutely. I still need to see Us.
I rank so far out of Jordan Peele's 3 movies. I rank it. Get Out #1, Nope #2, and Us 3.
That is pretty much what everybody says. So it sounds like
I don't think it's like that big of a
hot take.
Hot take. I would say most people probably agree, but that's the way I feel.
Gotcha.
Us, I liked, but for like a weird kind of spooky sci-fi story, I feel like I had to suspend my disbelief too much for like a 90-minute to 2-hour movie. You know, like like Twilight Zone can be like super off the wall, but they're also like 10 minutes each, you know?
Right, yeah.
If you have to watch a full film of it, you're like, okay, you keep trying to explain things that in your explanations are just so like outlandish to even be possible that I'm just kind of like, either skip the explanation or, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like
No, 100%, yeah.
It's very outlandish, and then they were trying to like explain the logistics, and I'm like, I don't need that part.
It's very funny that you say that too, because we had just had a conversation with Kyle. Was that Kyle we were talking? And was that when we were watching Blade that we had that discussion about like?
What were we discussing in specific?
I don't remember what launched the whole conversation. It was, I want to say it was a space.
Were we all in agreement?
No, it was kind of like we were just discussing sort of tropes of storytelling, and one of them was it was in regards to, I don't think it was Blade, but it was in regards to sci-fi of some kind. But we like basically one of us was saying like in the sci-fi, you don't gotta over-explain it. We get it, it's sci-fi. Trying to like go through the rigmarole of like just explaining.
Yeah, you don't explain the science.
Is just gonna bog it down with boring stuff. And then Kyle was like, that's the shit I like.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I do remember that now.
Do you remember what movie we were talking about?
No. It wasn't about Blade, was it?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
But yeah, I just remember Kyle saying that was the shit he did like.
I feel like it slogs the movie down and slows down all the momentum when they're like, actually, turns out the Force is a cell in your blood, and we have a name for it. You want to know what that name is? Here it is. Midichlorian.
It's interesting too, because like Star Trek Next Generation is one of those shows that I think, I haven't seen a lot of Next Generation, but I feel like Next Generation sort of straddles that line between over-explaining things but leaving just enough ambiguous that they can get back to like sort of, because like I think the way they threaded the needle in Next Generation is they'd have like this crazy concept that's very, very high concept. Like the one episode where they accidentally basically get into a merge with like 18 different dimensions where everyone's like over top of each other, like from alternate dimensions, like ghosting on each other, and then each is sort of going through their timeline and all, like it's like this big complicated cool science fiction space concept. And in Star Trek, because they have an hour to work with it, they seem to do a pretty decent job of explaining the stuff enough that you understand what concept it is that you're dealing with in the show. Maybe they throw a few extra technical terms in to kind of like, for the lore nerds who are like, oh, the engine's made of reverse gravitron, blah, 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 blah. And then the rest of the show is, or that episode is figuring out the problem and coming to a solution for it.
Okay.
and I think Star Trek Next Generation tends to, I think, sort of juggle the technical explanation of the concepts with the sort of actual emotional storytelling that people are really mostly there for. I feel like they do a pretty good job of sort of handling that.
Didn't Star Trek always kind of do that, but then they leaned into it just a little harder?
In Next Generation, I think, is when they really sort of hit that, like, I don't want to call it Rick and Morty territory, but sort of like that Rick and Morty territory where it's like, isn't this a crazy fucking idea, like, for a science fiction thing? Here we go! First Star Trek, like, the original series, they'd show up on a planet and they'd be like, oh, it's a monster that eats carbon.
For them, I guess you're right. Episode 1, it was just like, every planet's different.
Oh, it's a
now we're
planet
on Cowboy Planet.
Yeah, it's Cowboy Planet. Ooh. Whereas Star Trek Next Generation, they did kind of have, like, in the beginning, it would be like, oh, it's Cowboy Planet. Ooh, Picard is a cowboy today. But then as the show progressed, they sort of started leaning more into these things of just like, what if the holodeck people had lives inside of the holodeck and they all wanted to escape the holodeck? Like, they started doing shit like that.
I like that shit.
Yeah, that's the shit that I'm there for. That's when Star Trek Next Generation really leads into it. And when they do lean into those types of really fun sci-fi stories, which isn't every episode of theirs, but there's a lot more of them that you get in Next Generation than original series. And who knows, maybe even the rest of the fucking series for all we know.
I haven't watched that much Star Trek. I've watched the original series and episodes here and there of Next Generation, but I should really watch Next Generation, I know.
Yeah, I think Next Generation has some really good shit in it, I would say. Of the little bit I've seen, what I've seen of Next Generation, and to be fair, you know, I was watching it with Austin. Austin has an impetus to show me the best episodes because he wants me to watch Next Generation, so he's going to show me. It's like when I watched Doctor Who for the first time. The first episodes somebody showed me a Doctor Who were Don't Blink and the Library of Shadows, or whatever the fuck that episode arc is. Because those are legitimately just the two best episodes of Doctor Who. Because that's actually the fun part about Doctor Who, is that sometimes they'll also have those fun high concept ideas, except instead of about like space travel, it's about time travel and space travel, because they can do whatever the fuck they want.
You're gonna get some Who heads in here to complain about your choice of the best episodes, or is it universally agreed upon?
I mean, I'm sure there's people who feel differently, but I do think most people who talk about Doctor Who talk about the Don't Blink episode, because that episode is pretty classic if you know anything about Doctor Who.
You almost used Who heads, but then you stopped yourself from saying Who heads.
Then I thought I said Who heads.
You said most Who, and then you said most people who talk about Doctor Strange.
Oh, did I say Doctor Strange?
Oh, I think you did. Maybe you said Doctor Who. I don't know. Anyways, we're getting off the point here.
Anyways, Doctor Who Strange. People generally think Don't Blink is at least top 10, I would say.
Nice.
Because it is a pretty fun. Do you know about any Doctor Who at all?
Not really. I watched a little of like when it came back, like when they started rebooting it, and
yeah,
I really have watched hardly any. I liked what I saw, but I don't know what. It's just anytime I know there's this giant commitment of a show, not bigger than Doctor Strange or Doctor Who, it's like puts me off from watching it, not because I don't think it's good, but just because I'm like,
oh boy,
if I like this, I'm going to give away 150 hours of my life.
Yeah, 100%. That's the same reason I haven't gotten into a lot of shows. That's why I've like gone through a lot of 1 season, 2 season long shows lately instead of the 10 or so seasons of Golden Girls that I started. It's because it's a commitment, and you know that you have to sort of get your head into this space of, okay, well, these new characters are people who I now have an attachment to. I know this about them. I know that. I know their names. I know their wants, their desires. The whole new dictionary you have to like cram into your brain essentially. But yeah, Doctor Who's got some fun concepts. Don't Blink is a cool concept because first of all, this was actually Don't Blink was actually the first episode of Doctor Show, Mr. Who,
Mr. Strange and Doctor Show.
Doctor Show starring Bob Odenkirk and Benedict Cumberbatch. But the first, Don't Blink was the first episode of Doctor Who I ever watched, and it's interesting because it's the only episode of Doctor Who where the entire show is shown from the perspective of just some rando in London, instead of like every episode is following Doctor Who and his little plucky sidekick around, and like, oh, we gotta go solve this mystery. Oh, Doctor, you sure you can do that? Well, if I turn my sonic screwdriver to the right frequency, beep, 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 beep. Now, as you can see, the motherboard has gone and short-circuited, which means the Daleks are here. Oh no, Doctor, where are we gonna run to? I don't know, but we have to go down here.
You're kind of playing out the 50s version of the show right now, I feel
The
like.
show stays the same. That's
It's
like the
still
show.
like that?
The show is still like that. I haven't even. I've seen 2 of the 50s episodes. I've seen the rest from like 2006 with Chris Eccleston moving onward.
What's the Community version of that? What do they call it? Do you remember? It's
It's not Kick Puncher. It's
No, that's a different thing.
Yeah.
Let me see.
I know. Oh shit.
It's the Constable or something, and
Oh man, it's on the
not
tip.
that we have to get lost on that. I'm gonna find out here in a second. Inspector Spacetime.
Inspector Spacetime and the Constable. That's right. Yeah. No, the show is the same. It's just they've gotten better special effects, and they do slightly crazier storylines because of said special effects.
Fair enough.
But Don't Blink is an episode where you're just a random person in London who has now been caught up in a Doctor Who story, and like Doctor Who is talking to them through videotapes on TVs and stuff that are just like playing. It's actually a way cooler presentation than the like. I kind of wish.
Watch it.
Go for it. Yeah. It's kind of
Tonight or
spooky.
something.
Like a lot of Doctor Who episodes are a little spoopy sometimes.
Yeah.
But in
Kind of
this
cool to
one,
see the outside perspective, because it's like you're always following this like basically god of a character.
that's what I
And
thought.
it's like,
Is
what about all the NPCs who are stuck dealing with this shit
yeah.
while they're trying to get to fucking work and stuff?
That's kind of why I kind of like when I watched Don't Blink and then I watched the rest of the Doctor Who episodes, it kind of let me down because Don't Blink is shown from the perspective of a normal person, and then the Doctor is like very scarce in that episode. He shows up on the TV, he says, I got some advice for you. They're chasing you. Don't blink. And then like he's gone. And it's just like, fuck, these people have to deal with this shit now. And that's cool. Whereas every other episode is just like, you know, he's gonna fuck up sometimes and people are gonna die, but like Doctor Who is there and he's gonna have a knowledge of the situation, and he's gonna like, he's a character that's helpful to have because they can have a crazy concept of time and space, and then the Doctor will be like, oh, these are the shipwreck slugs. These slugs come in and they suck your dick until you die. And then like, great, I'm caught up and we can move on.
I can think of worse ways to go.
Right. But Don't Blink is just like it's 2 randos who are dealing with these, and like what it is it's these statues of angels, like big granite statues of angels, and they're like
spoilery.
No. This is the premise of the episode. They're these granite angel statues that they're like covering their face like they're crying. They're called the Weeping Angel statues, and when you blink, they come towards you, kind of like that SCP where you don't.
They're like the ghosts from Mario.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's the episode. There's these 2 British people and they're in London, and London has been invaded by these statues that will come at you if you blink. And yeah.
What if you close your eyes permanently?
Like
Does that
die?
count as a blink?
Yes.
Okay.
They'll still get you.
If you
But
go to sleep, not if you die. Not permanently, I guess, but like.
I don't remember how they solved that answer. But it's a whole thing. It's a very good episode, though. And then there's another episode where there's this episode where they go into this library that's like, oh my god, there's so much to fucking. It's a 2-episode arc, but it's about like these people who are in a library, and the library has been completely abandoned, but they don't know why, because it was like full of people the day before or something like that. It's this whole thing, 2 full episodes, but like Doctor Who is really good for you watch 1 episode and that's all you need. You still get the concept. You can still sort of follow along. They do that pretty well. I haven't seen it since Matt Smith became a doctor. Not like I was against him or anything like that. I just sort of, at the time, I lost access to where I was watching Doctor Who, and then I just never caught back up.
Do you know the lore? Is the Doctor the same like person, just looking different?
Yeah, what it is the Doctor he has like this regeneration technique where if he knows he's gonna die, he can start this process where he will begin to regenerate, and so then his corporeal form dies, and then like minutes later he has to be in his phone booth in order for it to happen though. And so he gets in the phone booth, they like whoever, the poor woman who's with them at the time, drags his like poor limp body. He's like, oh, I'm so sorry, Rose. And they drag his body into the phone booth, and then he turns into a plasma, and then he is essentially reborn as an adult. And every time it's always the same thing where he's like, oh, am I a ginger now? Oh boy, oh, my hair's so short. Whoa, I'm wearing a scarf. Or usually
the first episode, he's always just like talking about his physical ability, like characteristics. Like
sort of, because whenever he's a new doctor, he also gets a new personality. But not entirely. It's like still him, but his personality is sort of shaped with each transformation. Usually I think it's to play to the actors who's playing the Doctor.
Well, 100%, but
to
like
play to
it
their
sounds
strengths.
like they have some kind of lore to go along with it. But
They do,
100%
yeah.
That's the reason.
Yeah. But there's lore to go behind, and like there's like a couple of episodes where he's like, "Oh, am I a woman? I've always wanted to end up being a woman once." And they finally had a Doctor Who woman. There's a couple of there was a couple of Doctor Who's like where he would be like, "Am I a ginger? I've always wanted to be a ginger." I don't think they've ever had a ginger Doctor Who yet though. They had a ginger companion.
Am I a blank? I've always wanted to be a blank.
Sort of. I think he might legitimately.
You just wanted to be it all, like just do that. Don't try it. Don't try it all once.
Don't do that. I actually highly recommend Doctor Who though. It's
Alright.
It's a show that's
Do
great.
another Try.
Yeah, it's a show that's especially if you start with Chris Eccleston, like 2006, moving on from that.
Yeah, I believe that's when I started to get into it, and I enjoyed what I saw. I just didn't continue watching, not because it was like bad, just because there's a million things to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. It's goofy. It doesn't stop being like Chris Eccleston's season is pretty goofy, but there's like some fun episodes in there. David Tennant, obviously legendary Doctor Who, because he just fucking blew it out of the water. I mean, some people like Matt Smith, some people like Chris Eccleston more. David Tennant's my favorite because there's like one episode where David Tennant Doctor Who meets like Satan, but he doesn't know it, and then it's like a 5-minute sequence of David Tennant like talking to himself as he deduces, like he says, I know this, but you said this one time, and if you said this, and you said this, and I'm here, if I'm here, then I'll go there. And he does that for like 5 fucking minutes straight until he gets to the conclusion, like, oh, I'm talking to like Satan. I don't think it's Satan, it's some crazy demon or whoever, I'm sure. But he's like, oh, I'm talking to Satan. But just watching him do like that, talking to himself for 5 minutes, is like insanely entertaining because David Tennant's a fantastic actor. I don't think I don't think Chris Eccleston would have kept me on the edge of my seat like David Tennant was for that. But it's a good show. I don't know. It's one of those shows where it's good because you can watch any random episode and you will know everything you need to know. You can enjoy the weird plot, but also there's like these things. There's like these little crumbs they leave you here and there where if you've been watching since Chris Eccleston or since this. Like there was this one character who gets introduced, and I never really liked any of his episodes. I thought his character was kind of hokey, and the production value on that show does leave a lot to be desired. So like they'll have cool concepts, but it'll look goofy as fuck because it'll look like that Kitchen Nightmares or Hell's Kitchen intro we just watched. But then they'll have like these crumbs. Like there's this one, like you meet that character. He's in like episodes. He plays an important part. He even has his own spin-off TV show. And then there's this big episode. And at the end of the episode, he's kind of like talking to the one character and saying like, hey, I can't believe we all didn't fucking die from that Dalek invasion just now. I'm like, yeah. He's like, yeah, I've got this blah, blah, blah. That's why blah, blah, blah. And he'll say like, that's why blah, blah, blah. And what blah, blah, blah is like this crazy reveal that you did not see coming. And the only reason it makes any sense is because you've been watching since Eccleston. And then he says the thing and you're just like,
so it
wait,
builds upon
what?
itself.
Yeah, it's and it doesn't build
like
on
that.
itself where it's like him saying that doesn't fundamentally change anything in the show. It's just like he says it and you're just like, oh, that's crazy to think about. I don't know.
I might check that show out.
Yeah, it's a fun time. I don't know.
It's new show.
This hot new show that no one's heard of before called Doctor Who.
I've been watching the new Game of Thrones season, and they have a guy on there he was the Doctor, I believe.
Yeah, he's Matt Smith.
I think.
Yeah.
But,
I can't help but see his face. He was in Morbius.
His head looks like a foot.
Yeah. His head is like he's got
you
fucking
put, like,
Rocky
a-
Dennis head.
He drew a face on it, on a foot.
Yeah. He looks like
rough. It's,
Rocky Dennis from The Mask.
Like,
or
thanks a
whatever.
lot, Game of Thrones. I have to look at this face now. But,
He was yeah.
I mean, I'm sure he's a delightful human being. Sorry to shit on his physical appearance.
I mean, he's been in like everything, and I'm sure he's in everything
He's
because
doing just fine. He
he's-
doesn't care about my opinion.
fucking rich. He's probably had sex with more women than you've ever seen, or dudes than you've ever seen. You know, depending on which he likes, or both. You know, whatever. More than you've ever
Lucky.
seen, though.
That's a lot.
He's just like, this
I've
is
seen a few.
this is I'm studying for acting.
You just, some people are like very, they gotta live it to do it. you know?
Yeah. It's like
Very committed to the craft.
I have a friend who he fancies himself a writer. So the one day he was offered a happy ending massage when he was at a massage parlor, and he told us this. He told us the whole story, but he was like, I thought, oh, whatever, why not? Might as well try it out.
Yeah, that's why I did it. So
Yeah.
for the human experience.
For the
That's why I
human
did it.
experience. He said he felt so awkward that he just ended up not.
Yeah, it would be weird.
He,
a weird
he's-
thing.
he was like, I just ended up just apologizing and leaving. I just felt so bad and
Like, whoo, yep, that's what I needed. That's all I needed. That amount.
Woo-wee!
We all have different goals. I've reached mine. Time to go.
Everyone's
Whoa.
thermometer goes up to a different temperature. Let me tell you that much.
Yeah, I'm more of like a Celsius. You might be a Fahrenheit. It's different. It's different.
This
Don't
guy
worry about
over
it.
here, he's the repeat customer. He's in Kelvin.
What? You share a room?
Yeah.
I wish I could have gotten my own room, but unfortunately, this is the guy over here.
Can you like put up the divider between the happy endings? No. Okay.
Something. Yeah.
I guess we'll
The
just make
dividers
eye
are not
contact.
soundproof at all.
Guess we'll
Ian,
just
do you have anything to plug?
Wrist health. Good wrist health, folks. If you feel like carpal tunnel is coming on, give your wrist a break or wear one of those fucking hand things.
We got
I assume.
exercises. You little spider
Yeah.
push-ups.
Yeah, I've been told that if you put your hand up against the wall, like do that for like 30 minutes.
Just snap your hand off against the wall, and then you won't have a hand anymore.
Push your
It
hand
won't
up
hurt.
flat. I've been doing a shitload of that because I don't have a wall that like I can.
Well, as we can see from the draw pile, if you do lose your right hand to carpal tunnel, or whatever hand you use, your left hand, you still have a skilled hand to draw with.
This is why I took up music, is so that if this shit ever happens, I have a fucking.
You gotta have that backup.
I have a-
Yeah, if I ever
yeah.
like my arm ever gets like sliced off, I'm gonna be like, oh shit.
Music's my safety hobby.
Fuck.
I like your, we didn't talk about it, but I like your Gordon Ramsay who's trying to
Sliced his arm off.
Yeah. Fun.
Uh,
Shit to plug. I guess
great.
wrist health. The comic I am currently destroying my body over. I should be done with it tonight.
I can't wait to read it.
I'm excited to fucking never look at it ever again in my entire life.
Aw. Do you
The
feel
pa-
a sense of pride in finishing it?
I mean, I will. Yes.
Okay.
I feel a sense of pride.
Proud
that
of your body of work?
Yeah, I'm proud of my body.
Oh, hey. Hey, body positivity over here.
Hey, that's right. Everybody is beautiful, including mine.
Are you sponsored by Dove?
I'm sponsored by Megan Trainor.
Well, no, she hates skinny bitches, as I believe.
You didn't say. I guess she may have said that in an interview. I don't know. I just know that song itself is. Well, yeah, but the song's not saying like "fuck skinny people." The song is saying like, "Hey, large people are beautiful too."
It does, and I'm all for all that part. And then there's like one line that she drops that's like, I forget what it is because I haven't heard it in like a year. But she drops one line that's like making fun of skinny people, and it's like, no, you're invalidating yourself. Like, no,
that's the whole song.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, no. Your rest of your message was good. What are you doing?
No, damn it, Megan. You gotta start over.
Yeah, rewrite it.
Body positivity is ruined. That's funny. Hey, remember when you couldn't escape that fucking song? Like you would just hear it all the damn time.
Yes. Let's not bring it back. She says, not that I want to get into this. I want to get away from this. But she says, I'm bringing booty back. Go ahead and tell them skinny bitches that.
Oh,
and it says, nah, I'm just playing. So she immediately says, haha, it was just a joke. Don't
JK
worry.
/S. Well, at least she took it back in the same song. It'd be.
Yeah, immediately. She immediately took it back and apologized. Well, she didn't apologize. It was a haha JK.
Yeah, it was a haha JK. LSM.
I don't have anything to plug.
You don't?
I don't. Nothing to plug.
Great.
Nothing.
Dungeons and DrawBombs is gonna come out soon. I edited the first 15 minutes of it to give my hand a break today, and because Joel said he was gonna start, that he hadn't given up on the Oscars thing, so I figured I don't know, I should probably.
It'd be cool.
Yeah.
I would like to see.
Internet's still
check
being
out
a little
Two
shit.
Dicks on the Beat.
Yeah, check out Two Dicks on the Beat.
Check out the YouTube channel. We have lots of nice clips from the show. The editing's fun. It's cool. Check it out. And and then check out the Dungeons and DrawBombs when that gets posted.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Watch our show Mondays at 8.
That's it.
That's it. That's all of it.
Maybe watch Star Trek: The Next Generation if you want.
Watch Doctor Who season 1 through the current season.
Can I tell you?
Oh, yeah, go ahead. I actually have something I want to say too.
You go first. Mine's kind of like we're gonna fade out as I say it.
Spooky season. How about I don't know if this is within the possibilities of your schedule, but could we potentially like watch a movie and then come back and talk about it?
Yeah,
Halloween
I love that. That'd be great.
How about we set the first one as New Nightmare, because we need to watch that anyways.
Right, the new Halloween movie. Yeah, I think so.
No, not the new Halloween movie. The new, not even new, but we watched all the Nightmare on Elm Streets, and we got to the one.
Oh yes.
They start off good, then they get pretty bad, then they get like funny but bad.
Yeah.
And then we're right to the point where it's supposed to get good again, which is where who's the original director?
Wes Craven.
I think so. He comes back and does another one, and it's supposed to be decent, and we haven't watched that one yet. So maybe we could watch that before next week, if possible.
I'm super down.
If we're able to fit it in, talk about it.
I'd fucking love to watch because we started, as you said, we never finished, and that as a person who watches TV shows that he hates in their entirety.
You're a completionist.
I'm a completionist. You don't know how much.
You haven't reached that achievement yet, and you need it.
I need it, and it's bugged me that we watched 6 Nightmare on Elm Street or 4 Nightmare on Elm Street movies, and then just stopped.
In my mind, we didn't stop permanently. I knew we'd get around to it, but yes, I am ready to watch the rest. So maybe we'll arrange that soon.
Cool. We should definitely watch the new Halloween when it comes out, because unless it comes out only in theaters. We'll have to.
We can wait until it comes to streaming.
There's no.
I'm not giving them any money.
Not paying any money after that last fucking shit show.
Halloween ends. Do you promise?
Please? Can it be better than that last one? That last Halloween movie was absolute garbage.
It was trash.
Hated it really a lot.
It was like no redeeming qualities. It was just like terrible. It wasn't even that fun to watch. It was kind of a slog.
It was a slog. It was fucking confusing. It was it was like grating, I would say, because the movie is just constantly fucking Michael C. Hall going, "Evil dies tonight," and then like a group of people going like, "Evil dies tonight," and then it'll show two people sitting like 1,000 miles away from that riot that was just happening, and then there'll be like two people going like, "Boy, I can't wait to kill Michael Myers with my garden trowel. Evil dies to..." And then, you know, you
And there's like a scene in the middle where like they're like, "Hi, I was the guy who worked the hot dog stand from the second movie.
Yeah.
Remember me? No, probably not. Anyways, evil dies tonight." And then it'll be some other like just extra coming forward and be like, "I was from the original movie. Let's get him."
It might as well be like that scene from Spartacus where they're like, "And I am Spartacus," except they are all saying, "And I was in this Halloween."
They're like trying to make it like some kind of cool moment for fans, but nobody gives a fuck about these characters, even the biggest fans in the world. There's nobody that was like, "Oh, you know who that is?
We only give
Dirk Stunky from the hot dog stand."
The only person we cared about in that movie was Michael Myers and Jamie Lee Curtis. And Jamie Lee Curtis spent the entire movie... Oh, Michael Halloween.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And Jamie Lee Curtis spent the entire movie in a hospital bed just going like, "Oh, he's coming."
Yeah. She filmed her shit in one day, guaranteed.
I think what also... Yeah,
scheduling.
She filmed all her shit in one day, and also... She had like 20 minutes in the fucking movie, and every scene with her in it would be her in the same ass hospital bed going, "He's on his way, he's coming to me," and then you find out the entire movie he's been going to the fucking house from the first movie, and he doesn't even remember that Jamie Lee Curtis exists at all. And the entire movie is just lying to you. I fucking hated it. We can move on.
Yeah. It was
the show's over.
Don't watch it.
Don't watch that.
Thanks anybody who tuned in. We'll see you next week on Monday.
Yeah. Also, I wanted to say my favorite part about Doctor Who is, and then we're gonna fade out as I'm in the middle of me saying this, but there was a character who gets their face, they get turned into a granite slab essentially, but it's just like a face that can talk, and they totally make a reference at the end of that episode about sucking dick. So, anyways, bye.
Bye.
They totally say the dude got his dick sucked by a granite slab. They 100% make that joke in Doctor Who.